welcome to my channel. Today I'll be sharing a story with you. Emberglow was a land filled with magic and wonder, but what made it truly special were the dragons. They soared through the skies on wings of fire and danced with each other in the moonlight, their scales glittering like jewels. Dragons loved two things, flying and fire. They would dive into rivers to create whirlpools, blow out flowers to watch them bloom, and roast delicious fish till they smelled like cinnamon. The dragons of Emberglow were happy. Life was one big adventure. Except for one. This was a little blue dragon with big, innocent eyes. He was small for his age, and even smaller in courage. You see, this dragon was terrified of fire. A little spark coming out of his nostrils made him sneeze so hard that he'd roll around in a nearby puddle. And whenever he heard Elders Scorch telling stories of brave dragon slayers who breathed fireballs, Flint would hide under a bush and shiver. The other dragons teased him relentlessly. "Sissy, sneeze," they'd yell as he ran away. So Flint spent most of his time alone, exploring the forests of Emberglow and befriending the shy creatures who lived there. He liked being small because it meant he could play hide and seek with the pixies, squeeze through narrow tunnels with the moles, and listen to secrets whispered by the trees. One morning, Flint was playing with some butterflies when he heard loud shouting. Curious, he peeked over a hill and gasped. There in the center of Emberglow, in front of all the dragons, was Elder Scorch. His scales were dull gray, his eyes drooped, and his wings hung limp. It was bad, very bad. The great flame tree, which gave life and strength to the dragons of Emberglow, was dying. Its leaves were wilted and brown, its branches were bare and cold, and no fire came out of its roots. Without the tree, Emberglow would turn into a lifeless desert, and the dragons would lose their powers forever. Elder Scorch told everyone that the tree had lost its magic spark, and the only way to get it back was to carry a burning stone called a sparkstone from the volcano of echoes to the roots of the tree. But looking at the sullen faces of the dragons, he knew no one wanted to do it. The journey to the volcano was long and dangerous. Hot winds, bubbling lava and glowing smoke guarded the path, and any dragon foolish enough to try and fail would be trapped forever in the volcano's fiery heart. It was a task for a hero, someone big and brave. All the young dragons puffed up their chests and raised their claws except Flint. When the others flew away, he hid behind a rock and whimpered. How could he help? He couldn't fly very far, his wings were small, and if he got too close to fire, he might just fall asleep. As days passed, the great flame tree grew weaker and gloomier. Then one evening, while Flint was hiding from the other dragons near the river, he heard someone crying. He peeked over some bushes and saw a little girl sitting on a rock by the water. Her name was Lyra. She had flowing red hair, sparkling green eyes, and tear-stained cheeks. "What's wrong?" asked Flint. She jumped, startled, then wiped her eyes quickly. "Nothing," she said quietly. "I just miss my home." "Oh, me too," said Flint softly. He understood how she felt. For the first time since he'd moved to Emberglow, he didn't feel left out. They sat together on the bank, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors of orange, pink, and purple. Then suddenly, Lyra stood up. "I have an idea," she said with a bright smile. "Why don't we make a boat and float down the river to the ocean? We can take turns steering and watch the stars come out." "That sounds fun," said Flint, feeling braver already. Together they wove reeds and vines into a sturdy boat. When it was ready, they climbed it and set off downstream. As the boat sailed smoothly on the water, they sang songs, told jokes, and raced imaginary dragons in the sky. They didn't talk much about their problems. Instead, they enjoyed the present moment and the comforting sound of the river flowing past them. When the moon replaced the sun and millions of stars twinkled above, they reached the edge of Emberglow where the forest met the desert and the river became a trickle. "I wish I could stay with you longer," said Flint, feeling sad. "But now I must go. My friends are worried about me." "Don't worry," said Lyra. we'll meet again. And next time we'll go farther. We'll go to the volcano of echoes, Flint gasped. But you know that's dangerous, he exclaimed. Not for me, said Lyra with a wink. My dad is a fire elemental. I may be small, but I'm brave. She handed him a small wooden boat. Here, take this with you, she said. It will keep you safe. And with that, she paddled away into the darkness. Flint hugged the boat to his chest and headed back. The other dragons were gathered around Elder Scorch, their faces grim. When they saw him, they gasped. Flint, you're back, cried Princess Cinder. Where were you? We were so worried. I'm sorry, said Flint. I just needed some time to think. I know now what I have to do. You're going to the volcano, said Flint. Yes, said Flint bravely. I'm going to save our home. The dragon stared at him in disbelief. Are you sure? It's very dangerous, said Princess Cinder. More dangerous than getting caught in a pixie's giggle fit, said Flint with a smile. Besides, Lyra promised to help me. Taking a deep breath, the dragons nodded. They believed in Flint now. They cheered and roared their support, and soon he was soaring through the sky with them, heading towards the volcano of echoes. The journey was long, but Flint didn't feel scared. He had the wooden boat Lyra had given him, and whenever a puff of hot wind tried to push him off course, he held on tight. When they finally reached the foot of the volcano, the other dragons landed on a nearby branch. Good luck, Flint, called Elder Scorch. May your wings catch the first light of dawn. With that, he flew into the volcano. Flint took a deep breath and followed him. At first, the tunnel was dark and narrow. Hot rocks crunched under his claws, making him sneeze a little. But then the passage opened up into a huge cavern. In the distance, Flint saw a pool of molten gold, and in the middle of it floated a huge stone that glowed like a miniature sun. The Spark Stone. Flint hesitated. How could he get to that stone without falling into the lava? Suddenly, he remembered Lyra's words. With newfound strength, he grabbed the stone and flew out of the volcano. As he reached the great flame tree, he placed the spark stone inside its roots and watched as flames shot up the trunk. Relief, joy, and pride filled him. He had done it. He was no longer afraid of fire. He was Flint the Fearless, the smallest dragon with the biggest heart. And as the dragons cheered his name, he knew he wasn't just a dragon, he was Emberglow's hero. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please share it with your friends. Your support means everything to us. See you in the next video.